I'd like to give you a little bit of a timeline on some of the things that we've been dealing with as a council, or just me, myself. But it was a few months ago, if anybody remembers right, that in my opinion, Brad Erickson came up and threatened me. And that if I wasn't going to if I wasn't going to resign in 30 days, that I wouldn't be here the next day. He also then went, the same person, to a planning commissioner's house and told that person that he was carrying a gun that day and that we should be warned. That person filed a police report.
That's a lie.
Because
That's
he
straight
took
up
that
lie.
as
I
a
don't carry a gun. I don't even have a permit.
He also, I had a neighbor call me as this same person, Brad Erickson, was driving in my neighborhood and stopped to ask my neighbor if he knew me or was friends with me.
I did that.
And he got agitated when he found out that he said that he was friends with me. And then he texted me that he yelled at my house, "I'm coming to get you on Monday." Since then, I've had a multitude of, in my opinion, dark, threatening emails.
Wow.
I'll just read you a couple excerpts. One, I look forward to wiping that stupid look off your face.
Is this like public comments, or is this where the mayor gets to just vent? Oh my God.
You're out of order.
Grow up.
So P.S. I hope you figure out who I am soon. This is about to take a real nasty turn, the time you do not recover from. Remember, I warned you, I cannot hit you physically, but I'm going to make you wish you were dead. Have you ever suffered in silence, Mr. Walsh? I know people who have intimately.
Yeah.
They are still among us and want vengeance and will not stop until the thirst for your life, as you know it, is quenched.
As you know it.
Also, he also met with a mutual acquaintance of ours recently and said that he told the mutual acquaintance that when he's finished with me, there'll only be a bloodline behind his truck. Me. That same acquaintance, he sent texts about me, which in my opinion were threatening me with sexual violence. Now, I have sent these texts to the city attorney to reach out to his attorney, which he has not responded back, but they're too graphic to read. But if you're interested and you want to see what they say, you can reach out to the city attorney, he can figure out a way for you to read them. So it just, what kind of person does that? But that's what we're dealing with. When they ask me, do you worry about your safety? And the answer is yes, I worry about my safety. I worry about my family's safety. I worry about the council's safety up here. We've taken.
Well, you weren't worried about the community in 2020.
I'm worried about the staff's safety.
What about the
And just what
community?
kind of person
Please
says
don't
those
interrupt.
things. So with that, I will open up public comments. The limit is 3 minutes per person. It'll be timed up there. That's the time to opportunity. You can address the council. We won't engage in any discussion or take action on items presented. We may refer issues to the staff or follow up at a different meeting. You should state your name and address at this podium before speaking, and then the clock will start.
And please be respectful to the council and the community at large in this gallery.
Okay.
Please.
Of course.
My name is Brad Erickson. I'm at 2485 Independence Road in Independence. Wow. Yeah. Smooth move. Anyway, before we get started, I'd like to thank Mr. Crennup and Mr. Crosby in person, because last time you guys weren't here, so I mean it. I appreciate you guys coming down and meeting with me. You guys, we saw the video together that the mayor sent me in 2020. I know everybody up here's got a tough job to do, but running a city, this has got to be just, and I mean that. I really do. I think Adam knows. I think you probably know by now. I too had a tough job in 2020, and while I was down there doing that, I guess, and with everything else that was going on unfolding in 2020. You were busy doing other things, and these three gentlemen, Mr. Edwards, Mr. Crosby, and Mr. Crennup, in no particular order, have seen the video that I know for sure because I watched it with them, and they know who I am and who my father is and who my grandparents are. Okay, so when you send something like this to someone like me, It is much like the Honorable Gabriel Jabor mentioned at the last meeting. It's like throwing gasoline on the living room floor of a burning home. And you just don't do that. And you certainly don't do that when you're sitting where you're sitting. So without further ado, I think we should play this video so we can clean up some of the misconceptions that are going around out here, because I've been getting a lot of bad press, and I don't like it. You ready? Mr. Walsh?
Put it by the microphone.
It's for the greater good. Wait until you're told that you can't enter any store or business.
Here's where I got a problem.
Wait until you can't go to public events or get on a plane without proof
Coming.
of receiving the vaccine.
It's coming. They should have told you.
Well, you already allowed the government to say when you can go outside, when you're allowed to go and accepting a new approved digital
Said
education.
you need that.
Kids in the last 100 days. You're because you were told to do so. Won't be repeated with a vaccine or whatever the next step is. I don't follow politics. I don't care about that stuff. I don't think about it. 6 million Jewish people were exterminated in Germany because 97%
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. You can sit down now, sir. Anybody else would like to come up now for 3 minutes? And the mic is off.
Where are your friends?
And the mic is off, so.
It's not over.
It's 3 minutes.
There's a lot more.
Please
Slow
allow,
down.
please allow
I have
the
other
next
people who
person to
want to
come up and have your
Comrade.
Here.
Is there anybody else who would like to come up to public?
Thank
comments
you to
today?
everybody else. We will be voting on this message, this man, this miserable man. It's coming. It's coming. Know that.
Who would like to be next? If you can state your name and address.
Why don't you file a suit against me, Mr. Walsh? Why don't you file a suit against me?
Well, he does everybody else.
Yeah, sue me. See what happens.
And he'll drop it.
Do it. Open the goddamn door.
Robert Peterson, 1261 Harbor Street. I just came up here this evening to thank Matt and Victoria for all the work they've done on the fire department. I was definitely involved in 2002 with the contract you folks are dealing with, as well as the construction of station number 2. I know it's difficult, haven't gone through it, but I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Jabor, and I put a lot of hours in on that contract many years ago, and I'm confident and hopeful that you guys will be able to come to a fair, equitable resolution along with Long Lake to continue this contract, hopefully maybe for another 100 years. So thanks, guys, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to come up tonight for public comment? You can state your name and address for the record.
Barbara Schmidt, 50 Landmark Drive. I just have a few questions, rhetorical questions. The citizens of Orono want to know, what is ethical and what is not? Is it ethical for a sitting planning commissioner to sell himself land from which he governs? Is it ethical for city officials to change land use behind the scenes and then try to grandfather in new private interests? Is it ethical for city officials not to listen to the majority of citizens? Is it ethical to call citizens fools, clowns, Karens, crazies, and insinuate they are child abusers? Is it ethical for city officials to disappear during contentious voting or discussion? Is it ethical for a few city officials to make drastic changes that affect the taxpayers without the citizens' vote? Is it ethical to ask taxpayers to pay for administration of the above issues when it is not their desire to take the city in this direction? These are the questions we need to ask our city officials, whether elected or appointed. The citizens of Orono ask you to rescind the sale of 345 West Lake Street, Stubbs Bay Public Access, and Resolution 7195 allowing mountain biking in Beaterwood Park. These are deals that we, the citizens of Orono, did not agree to, nor did we have the opportunity to vote on in a fair public hearing. We ask that Mr. Bob Erickson offer his resignation from the Planning Commission effective immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to come up for public comments tonight? You can state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Hi, my name is Gary Kutzke. I live at 705 County Road 19, Orono, Minnesota. I'd just like to say I work in 3 cities around here. I work in Minnetrista and Orono and Independence, and they're good cities to work in, and they all do a good job. But I take breaks out here when I'm driving around to the parks, and Beater Park, and the dog park. And Orono does a really good job at maintaining and taking care of their parks and their streets and their roads. You want to see one street that's not good is North Arm Drive by Pearl Oaks. Drive down that sometimes. It's horrible. It's Minnetrista. I don't know why they don't fix it. It's got 5,000 potholes and patches in it. All the parts fall off the truck and all over. Orono does a good job. They take care of the streets. Their permits and taxes are in line. It's easy to work in, easy to get permits and deal with. I just wanted to say that we've done good in the parks, the grass is mowed, the trees are trimmed, everything looks good. Proud of you guys, what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to come up for public comments tonight? Please state your name and address for the record.
Jay Nygaard, 1386 West Point Road, Orono, Minnesota. And I want to thank you all for dressing up
Matt,
tonight.
you want to restart it?
Because,
Excuse me, Jay. No, Jay, I wanted you to have full time on there, that's it.
okay,
That's why I
wait,
interrupted.
we just started.
Yeah, you get your full 3 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to thank you 3 for dressing up tonight, because I haven't seen this in a long time, especially from Walsh, who went tootling out without his shoes the other day. Quite comical that there's some reason you feel you need to dress up. Now, there's a couple things that Walsh brought up himself tonight. One is to protect Orono's interests and its citizens, and the other is to talk about charter, and what the charter is in the city. Well, the charter in the city, I think you all understand, is to follow state statutes, and to have a comp plan and follow that. And that's what Mr. Walsh brought up tonight. But unfortunately, that's not what's going on at all. This city is being run like the wild, wild west of ordinances. Although it's being run by the city council that way because you don't care about ordinances anymore. You got people biking where it's illegal. You're trying to give away parks and doing all this stuff. Well, when you, Mr. Walsh, and others allowed Mr. Erickson to purchase the property at West Lake Street, you all violated state statute on a number of reasons, and it doesn't seem like anybody up here cares. Other residents are held to statutes. You hold people to little things when it comes to variances, but state statutes are what you follow. Isn't that part of the charter, Mr. Walsh? To follow state statutes? Isn't it? Well, there is a statute that requires all cities with a comprehensive plan, we all have a comprehensive plan, right? To put any sale of public property or purchase through the comprehensive plan to see if it agrees. You did not do that for the fire lane on West Lake Street. You all violated state statute and the law. And so did Mr. Erickson by pushing this. Not only that, and this is, by the way, all according to the League of Minnesota Cities, which I heard up here was an important thing for Mr. Print up earlier, the League of Cities. So I guess, do we follow League of Cities all the time or just in some things? Right here, real estate contract with a city official by League of Minnesota Cities is a city is specifically prohibited from selling land to one of its officials. Bob Erickson, member of the Planning Commission, is an official. You violated the law. Here's another way, sale. Statutory cities have the power to sell land and buildings they no longer need to anyone other than public officials and certain employees. What the hell's going on with you guys? Fire lanes are precious in this community, and you're giving them away. You're selling them to other people. You are all violating state statute. And from someone who's been persecuted and criminally prosecuted by the city 4 times without a conviction, and criminally persecuted for going green, you ought to all learn to follow the law yourself. Turbine Guy, signing off.
Anybody else like to come on the public comments? State the name and address for the record.
Mrs. Turbine Guy, Kendall Nygaard, 1386 West Point Road, 5658 Judith Road, Bokeelia, Florida. So first of all, Dennis Walsh, I have a $1,200 check, just like Bob Erickson and his wife gave you 2 times for your 2024 re-election campaign. I'm sure you won't take it, but it's here. Because apparently, my $100,000 donation check to the city of Orono, and Ron, would you like to take that? Because everyone, there's fire lanes available for you. A $100,000 donation and you get a fire lane. I have one I really like at the end of West Point Road. I think my 28-foot Chris Craft Constellation would be parked there and have a beautiful view of West Arm Bay and Jennings Bay. If they're only $100,000, my gosh, what a bargain. Lake Minnetonka, Lakeshore, for $100,000? Please. So here you go, Dennis, $1,200. Ron, should I give you the $100,000? Remember when I came 3 months ago and I gave you a $1,600 check to remove a lien for my property?
Ma'am, please address the council.
Yeah, and he couldn't find my $1,600 check, and he couldn't remove the lien, and I got a $1,600 check back because I already paid it, and the lien was removed though, thank you, Ryan. So anyhow, that's what's going on in the city of Orono. You hang out with the weasel, and you make a donation to his campaign, and you give a donation for $100,000, and maybe too, like Victoria, I'm sure you have an access point that you'd like to share with the rest of the community that has somehow made its way to you. But that's transparency. It's the best form of figuring out what the heck is going on in this city. So if fire lanes are available for a $100,000 donation and a $1,200 donation to your re-election campaign, I'm all in. You have to get in line behind me though, everyone, because there's only so many fire lanes in Orono. Now, the next thing I'd like to bring up is all these beaten up signs that are apparently in the city of Orono. Are they in your garage, Mr. Crosby? Because I believe there's a lot of election signs that somehow make their way somewhere out of this city and they make it somewhere to you, but I digress. You might want to check that out from the last election campaign. The last thing I would bring up is there is a reason why you don't like us being up here. You can call us whatever you want, crazy, fools, clowns, whatever. We're not. We're all intelligent people. They're just asking for fairness and transparency and honesty and integrity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to come up for public comments tonight? Nobody? Okay. State your name and number for the address.
Oh, here, Sure.
Ladies.
Thank you. Hi, Tiffany Ferrer, Canadian Heritage Home. I've been an Orono resident for 2 years. I live in Medina. I live in Plymouth. I have been attending these meetings, and quite frankly, I'm sort of ashamed by some of the behavior here. I think it's great, First Amendment rights, everyone gets to come in and say what they'd like, but personal attacks and disrupting the meeting, trying to get business done here, I think is ridiculous. I would like to commend all of you because I have seen other councils, I have been on other boards, and you guys work really hard. And you put the work and you put the effort in. I think it's great that you want to put the signs and you do our signs in Orono, make it look better. I think it's awesome that the two of you are working with Long Lake trying to get our fire departments together in a cohesive in a manner that's gonna work for both cities. These are the things that are important to Orono citizens. Not personal attacks, not going after each other. So I'd like to thank you for your time, energy, and your effort, because I believe you're all doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank me. Saving the address for the record.
I'm David Jabor, 985 Pine Road. I'm not here to argue with you on issues, mostly about process. As you recall, my first meeting was how upsetting it is for me to see the Orono Council not participating in major decisions such as the fire department. Matter of fact, I was very pointed. And today, it's a perfect example how it would go if everybody brings something to the table. And that's why we have a 5-member council. And that's why you all are voted at large. No ward, no neighborhood, every citizen of the city vote for it. Today is one of the better meetings, except for the fact that the commotion is unacceptable. I think it diminished our standing in the greater community, it dilute who we are as human beings, and would pin neighbors against neighbors. And I am part of the commotion. Sometimes you have to tear down to zero to build, otherwise you're building on bad foundation. I lived here for 50 years. I was mentored with people like George Pillsbury, the Sweats, Tom Crosby. All of them worked their tail off to make the city what it is. You are the beneficiary of their hard work. Your parks, hardly any of them you bought, was their donation to you. And as you recall, particularly Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Crosby, I kept pointing out that the process had to change with the fire. Now, I own several businesses, and one of them has a lot to do with advertising of products. As a matter of fact, the best photographers in the world are our customers. Brand value is the most important thing to every company in the world. And our value, we had the golden value. People ran to Orono, to live in Orono, and ran to Orono to give us land and trust. Mr. Dayton, I should have mentioned that there are, I would consider over hundreds of millions of dollars has been donated within our community. And the community could never, ever dream. I am at this level. I appreciate that you guys won't go along.
Thank you, Dave, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Is there anybody else who'd like to come up for public comments tonight? Seeing none, I will close public comments. I will bring it to Mayor Council report. Councilmember Johnson.
Well, I guess Victoria and I will be meeting with representatives from Long Lake here with that scheduled. Hopefully have an opportunity to speak with them before their next council meeting and answer any questions they might have. Other than that.
Apologize for being out the last meeting.